Hi. Welcome to the stream. We're streaming on my channel. It's not Retro Sunday. What the fuck's actually going on? I'm here. I'm in my house. I'm in front of my computer. You're there in front of your phones or computers or your consoles and televisions, and it's going to be great. I'm really happy. So, today is Monday. It's a holiday for some of you, depending on where you're at, or not a holiday. Some of you are at work or in Europe or Canada. But hello. Hi. I hope you're good. Oh, look at this. Here comes some more. Hold on. I gotta go grab something. I'll be right back. And by be right back, I mean I'll be right here. I have to grab a source. Excuse me. Here. There we go. I grabbed a source. Carry on. You didn't get notifications because of that thing, so let me call you out. Lyseham, Stolperstein, Rallin, Mohiram, Yellow Fever 686, and of course, my dear sweet friend, John Harper. Happy anniversary, John, baby. I hear you did a 6-hour stream about your game the other day. You and Sean hit it hard. I was very impressed. I was impressed by that. Spike Ma, welcome. I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I'm gonna. Next time I have 6 hours in a row to spare. And that's why we're here today. I wanted to start with the IRL business. Because I wanted to talk about like stream stuff. Shit. Speaking of excellent role players, welcome back, Judd. Jesus Christ, Judd. I remember when you subscribed. I can't believe it's been 5 months. All right, fine. I guess we'll hang out. We'll do this for a few minutes. Latobly, welcome back. Thank you. Oh my god, what a great way to start my day. You people are the best. Don't apologize, Dread Ninja. Thank you for coming back. We're gonna play this game. Feels good. This is like the greatest shit. I'm so happy. So anyhow, holiday peeps, my dear friends. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about like stream stuff because, you know, I know you've noticed, I've sure as fuck noticed, I haven't had a lot of time to just like hang out on my stream and play video games. Pretty much like since we finished with Dishonored, I've just been like picking up stuff, bits and pieces here and there. I've got games I want to play. I want to play Yakuza. I want to play Neo. I want to play literally any fucking thing. But here's where my life is at right now. Here's what happens with my channel. So it may seem, and this is the great thing. I love that y'all support me so fervently. Like, I have this fear because like 16 hours a week at least, plus prep time and stuff. Let's round it up to an even 20. Half of my like job time is spent on other people's channels, right? You see me more often in Roll20's house or in RollPlay's house than you do in my own, and it makes these streams real special for me. But it can be hard because, you know, the distance between subscribing to a channel when you're in that channel and subscribing to a channel when you're out of it, it's a tricky thing. So thank you so much, all of you, for like remembering and caring enough to come on over here and do this, even though I don't get to stream as often as I maybe did a few months ago.
Have returned.
Cesius baby, welcome back. But here's the thing, right? So yeah, so we've talked about this on office hours before. What is the maximum amount of time that a person can play role-playing games without burning themselves out? This is mine. Right? I'm at my limit, and I know it. I know what my limit is, and I play within it. Cloud, welcome back. Thank you. You know, I limit myself to, on a weekly basis, four role-playing games, right? I play 2 games over at Roll20, and I play 2 games for Roleplay, and that's not really counting like random sporadic stuff, like our monthly game of Blades, you know, Bloodletters, or appearing on Roleplay Blades, like I did. That'll happen. But this is for me, that's where I hit my max. That's where I draw my line. I'm not going to take on another full campaign, even though I have one percolating in my mind, right? Like this is where I draw my line, because for all of these games I have to do prep too. And honestly, a lot of this prep gets done in tiny bits and pieces, right? It's not like Stars Without Number where I sit down and I work through that stuff. all in 1 hour, or like Apocalypse World, or even the Sprawl, where I can do prep streams. For the most part, my prep has been, for myself, moments between games. And I think this organic prep is a thing that happens the more you play role-playing games, the less that you have to sit down and like actively, aggressively do prep stuff. Because otherwise, if I was doing a ton of that, I would be doing it here with you. But like even with Court of Swords, most often all I'm doing is making little notes throughout the week about cool things that I think might happen, and then either before the show or during breaks, I'm whipping together maps for encounters. Adventurers League, it's all prep stuff done for me. I do prep for the Sprawl live, and then Nebula Jazz. If I tried to prep for Nebula Jazz, like how would that ever happen?
Welcome to the Math Squad.
JS Mizzou, welcome. But I miss that stuff, right? So here's the thing. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Swansong live show. So as you may or may not know, as I record this, it is Monday, the 20th of February, which means I am 5 days away from possibly what I would call my most terrifying role-playing experience as a game master of my life, right? You want to put me on a one-shot in front of tens of thousands of people in a live audience? You want me to GM like an Acquisitions Incorporated style thing? Fucking no problem. No problem. You want me to get excited about Dakiana resubscribing? Done. I got it. You want me to play, you want me to GM a game I've never played before, and you put it in my hands the morning of the show. Cool. I can do that. I got it.
An earnest disciple.
But the thing about Swansong is I care more about that universe than maybe anything that I have ever created as a GM in my life, right? Swansong is, to me, it's not necessarily that it's like the best thing I ever did. I think that, honestly, I think that maybe like the first season of Burning Wheel for Roll20, that's like some of the best role-playing stuff I've ever been a part of. Everything has its own stuff, but for me, the thing is that like everyone cares so much about Swansong. It was the first thing I made for you, as much as I did for me. It's the game that got me started in doing all of this stuff. It has deep, powerful emotional significance for me, and I'm scared that I'm not going to be able to do it justice. And if this were rebooting the Swansong show, if this were like, episode 1, series 2, I would feel differently about it. I'd feel like easier because I would have potentially a whole show to explore that stuff. But I don't. I only have 8 hours. Joss Whedon, baby, I feel your feelings, my friend. Sitting there knowing you have to write Serenity and knowing that all people really wanted was like a clean ending, and you've only got 2 hours to do it. I don't have millions of dollars, but the stakes aren't as high as Serenity was. But this is how I feel. Like that's the space that I feel like I'm in, right? Because there's this thing that I care so deeply about, and so do all of you, and we only have 8 hours to explore. And people have been asking me, what are we gonna do with the GM turn? Are you gonna do some prep for Swansong? And there's sort of two angles on that, right? There's sort of two angles. One is that I can't really, and I don't want to explain why. Wipe away the debt. Welcome back. Thank you. Almost your second anniversary, my friend. So there's two reasons. One, I don't want to do a Swansong GM turn because of narrative stuff. You'll understand as soon as we start playing. You'll understand why. I might do like a post-mortem GM turn with some updated stuff, but don't worry about that right now. The other reason that I don't want to do a GM turn is because a one-shot like this, I'm really treating it as a one-shot in the Swansong universe with the same characters as Swansong, because it's a one-shot. It's got to have a beginning, it's got to have a middle, it's got to have an end. We have to treat it a little more theatrically because these live events have a very different flow to them. We're not picking a piece out of a campaign. We're looking at in really in effect a whole campaign itself in 8 hours, right? This gets to be the movie that we attach to our TV series, and it's a little frightening because I have a lot to do in that time, and Stars Without Number, I love you, Stars Without Number, I love you, Kevin Crawford, but your game is not made for this, right? I am doing something, I'm pulling a borderline mirror shades here, in that Stars Without Number is meant to be explored at the player's leisure. It's a sandbox. So I can't combine my desire to create a contained narrative experience in 8 hours, like you do with a one-shot at a con or whatever, with the game
To the math squad.
and its natural inclinations to let the players just fuck around. Caleria, thank you. Welcome to the squad. You know, every live show that we've done so far has just been another episode, a big episode, a very special episode. But this is different. This is very different, and I'm not scared to admit that I feel like nervous about it. Now, I trust Wheat, I trust Jeff, I trust JP to play their characters and to fill that world and to care about it. I know for a fact that Wheat is super excited to get back to playing. I'm excited to step into that role of Pi and of the other characters in the universe. But, you know, I'm trusting them to bring their A game, but my job is to give them things to highlight those characters, right? Like, I can't just throw them into the world and say, go for it. Now, the thing is, what I'm really excited about is introducing Matt to this world, because Matt is as practiced a GM as you're going to find, right? I've played with Matt before. I've played as a player in Breakers. I've GM'd for him in the Dogs one shot. I'm really excited about having him at my side at the table, because I think I'm going to be able to let him help me explore that space. I'm gonna deputize him in a lot of ways through the way he makes his character and how he exists in the world. So there's this thing that happens. Like, okay. Often in fiction, and you're gonna be able to call up all kinds of examples of this. Often in fiction, characters are there as a stand-in for us, right? So Higgs and Piani and Alfarius, they're not really going to be our stand-ins. Pi's not going to be our stand-in. We're here to watch them. But Matt is our POV character. Matt is his character is going to be our chapter header, right? We're going to tell a lot of this story from his perspective. So I think that's going to allow me to treat the world like a brand new thing, because there are going to be people who are tuning in. Yes, an audience surrogate, exactly. So he's gonna be able to tune in, and you're gonna tune in. And he's gonna be your guide, I think, in this world, because it allows me to reintroduce certain aspects or pieces of the game. What I really want to hit on is writing strong goals with the characters, with the players for their characters, and letting them drive the world. And then hopefully what I can do is, and this is how I'm gonna prep, right? This is how I've prepped already. Create a world in which things are happening, unignorable things are happening. My job here is to create the situation based on the world we all know and love, the universe, the Asgard Sigma, and have things that happen that the players can't ignore. Then let the players exist in that space. So I don't know. I'm nervous. I'm really nervous because the stakes feel really high. I don't get like stage fright. I'm not nervous about it. GM anxiety for me is not a it's not a stage fright thing. It's not a like, am I going to say the wrong thing kind of feeling. It's not, am I going to come up with bad ideas? It's not about that. It's about, are we going to do justice to everything that we desire from the game? Is it going to be fulfilling? I have an anxiety about, or maybe not an anxiety, but a deep abiding need for a powerful narrative, because the world is so meaningful for all of us, right? Because we're so attached, because we've spent so much time there. And I know it's not as big a deal as I'm making it in my mind, but that's a thing, right? That's the That's the world that we live in. So, that's happening, and I've been prepping for that. I've been thinking about that a lot on top of the 4 shows that I'm doing already and all the prep that they have. I've got campaigns with the Patreon group every month that I have to prep and schedule and run. I do one shots for the patrons every month. We do our GM one-on-ones, so that's another 6 to 8 hours.
Endowment.
Oh, thank you. So that's another thing that takes up my time. I'm spending more time thinking about and playing and engineering role-playing game stuff than I ever have in my entire life, which is so fucking great. It comes right back to that place where I feel nothing but this like glee for being able to do this. And I love it. I'm really excited and happy, on top of also feeling nervous. And I've got other stuff that I've been really busy with, things that I don't know. Like I haven't signed any NDAs, but I feel like some of this stuff might be a surprise, some external to Roleplay or Roll20 stuff. I can say I've been talking to some folks at Geek and Sundry about a thing that we might be doing in the near future. So there's this confluence of me being real busy and planning and doing cool things, and also other people noticing these cool things that we're doing, and those things becoming stuff that I'm getting busy with. So it means that sometimes I don't have as much time to come and hang out and just like play video games and do the kind of traditional streamer thing. But this Math Squad is home. This is where I live. So it's nice to be able to come back and do this thing. Yeah, so I can't really like talk details about that necessarily, but you'll see what that's about. Go ahead and speculate and rumor mill all you like, but that'll be a thing. And then there's conventions and stuff, right? There's PAX. All this stuff, it just kind of is like continually happening around this space, but I'll always make time to come hang out with all y'all. So yeah, I mean, gosh, I've been thinking about this, and this is something like roleplay related that I wanted to talk to, particularly because I'm in a place with my roleplay campaigns where if you were to ask me to describe my ideal campaign, you wouldn't hear me talk about a game like Nebula Jazz. You wouldn't hear me talk about a game like Court of Swords. I think that's the fascinating thing for me, is that if you collaboratively decide the kind of campaigns you're going to make, you don't end up in games that are anything like what you would expect.
Welcome to the Math Squad.
Monus MK, welcome back. Welcome to the squad. Thank you for your sub. If I were to describe myself running a game that is like my normal thing, it would be a game that is a little dark in tone. It would be mostly serious.
Welcome to the Math Squad.
Lewis WJ would be subscribed to it. It would be a mostly serious game. It'd be philosophical. It would probably have like religious and authoritarian undertones. It would use a complex system that is predominantly about creating narrative beats. It wouldn't be that mechanically focused, but here we are where I'm playing these two games that are like highly mechanical Dungeons and Dragons, right? Like you are playing D&D in the most D&D way it can be. You are playing 5e to the hilt. And yes, you're doing, like there's the burning wheels just all up in that business. But I'm playing a game I'm not a competitive person, but I'm playing D&D to win, and I'm doing it in 2 shows, right? And I love it. I'm having such a good time playing in Court of Swords and in Adventurers League, but it's totally out of my normal wheelhouse. It's fascinating. And then with Nebula Jazz, if you've been watching me talk about role-playing games for very long, you know that like Fate Core never really did anything for me. And, you know, I like that Fate exists. I know lots of people love it. But it just never really did anything in a way I could really get behind. And I love sci-fi. I love sci-fi. But my sci-fi is Dune, right? My sci-fi is kind of grim, a little dystopian. I like cyberpunk, right? I like gritty. Nebula Jazz is a goofy Fate accelerated game. Like how the fuck did I get here? And what I think, and I don't want to sound like I'm tooting my own horn too hard here, but I think that it's a sign that I've grown as a game master in the last 2 years because of the kinds of environments that I've been playing games in, right? I chose Fate because I knew that Fate would be good for that group and for that game. And that even though I wasn't super confident about it being a fit for me as a game master, I knew we could make it sing. And that feels really cool to me. And it's working, right? Four episodes in, and it is the weirdest, most like off the wall, like goofiest game I've ever played. And it feels great. It feels really good. I think it's really working for that group. But I would never have expected to be in this place before. Now, all that being said, I'm in, and let's talk about the future, right? I'm in this place where you've had this happen before. If you're a game master, you know, you're playing games. You have this new relationship with a sprawl you're really excited about. That's been fun, getting to know them. Nebula Jazz is your like wacky friend you go to parties with and hang out, and they always do something silly. You know, you get your D&D steadies, hang out with them. Deep relationships that are just, you know, growing over time. But like, you know, look across the room and you're like, yeah, girl. Yeah, boy. I see you. I see you over there, Burning Wheel. What are you doing? How you doing, baby? So I'm in this position where me and my longtime bae, my old flame, me and my old flame, we're flirting. Just it's been some back and forth. We've been making eyebrows at each other across this crowded tavern. So it's not gonna happen. I'm not. This isn't an announcement. This isn't anything. This is just me talking about my deepest, darkest desires. But I have a vision. I have a vision of the future, and my vision of the future is RollPlay Burning Wheel, right? And I want to talk to you a little bit. I've been making notes, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen for a long time. But the next time there's an opening for a show and the cast is right, yeah, Cthulhu Fatan. I have a desire. I have a great and deep, powerful desire, which I've shared with JP and we've discussed, but there's no details yet. But I have a feeling, and when I get the opportunity to play this game, this is what I want. I want Jeff, and I want Zeke, and I haven't decided who my other players are, but I'll work that out. I want Jeff and Zeke, and I want 2 more players. I want to play a campaign. I want like a swansong length campaign of the Burning Wheel.
A kind gesture.
Thanks, 7 Secrets. I want, ideally the other players would not be men. But don't worry about that. We'll talk about that later. So Burning Wheel, I want intense, like deep, powerful community engagement around the lore and the sort of faction states of the world. I want the audience to do all of the trait voting. I want to do like weekly checkups. I want to do Mirror Shade style XP handing out. I want that shit. I I want it to be set in a dark kind of post-medieval city. I want it to be urban, but I want the city to be like a ruin in many places. I want there to be monsters at the gate. I want decay. I want corruption as a mechanic. I want to use the corruption for the thing. It's going to be all humans. I want to steal from Bloodborne. I want the higher that your corruption is, the more you're able to see into the world. And then, I want to make factions. I want to have like the strange church, and I want to have the torturers guild, and I want to have these groups, and I want to turn them over in some way to you, and to do a GM turn, essentially like a faction turn, using the Burning Wheel mechanics in some way. And that's my dream. That is the great burning dream for me. That's the wheel in the sky. And I want it. And I don't know when I'm going to get it, but I've got a text file. And every day that I come up with an idea, I just make a note. I just put a little thing in that note, and I think about the day when we can strike that match and we can play Burning Wheel, and it'll happen. It'll be the thing. It's a fantastic game. We've seen it work, right? We've seen the reward mechanism work. It's gonna be good. But that's my dream. I'm thinking, I'm at my maximum amount of shows. I don't want to run more than 2 shows for roleplay. But every dog has its day. So that'll be the future. That'll be a thing, and it'll be something good. It'll be something real fucking good. So, I'll share with you my daydreams about that as they happen. But that's something that I really desperately want. We just started this game of the Sprawl, and it's got me thinking. I want to talk a little bit about some kinds of content that we could maybe do, with Roll20, or right here on my channel maybe. I mean, you've seen it before. Remember John and I did the little show where we hung out and we talked about hacking Blades in the Dark. I know enough like game designers, tabletop role-playing game designers, that I think it would be possible for us to do more of that kind of content. And the Sprawl got me thinking about it. Damaku, welcome back. Thank you. The Sprawl got me thinking about it because Hamish, who is the designer of the Sprawl, has been in our chat more than a few times. And every time we finish playing the Sprawl, now y'all don't see this, but after the show, we hang out for 10 or 15 minutes and we're like, hey, let's how was that session? How'd you feel about the mechanics? What are you thinking about the game? And I'm playing that game with some of the smartest nerds that I know, right? Andrew and Blue Jay and Elf and Dave are whip smart people, and I'm watching them get their heads around the Sprawl. And even though like Blue Jay, watching her learn role-playing game stuff has been so cool, because she's starting to understand some very cool things about how RPGs work.
Welcome home.
Chaz, welcome back. It's almost our anniversary, Chaz. Thank you. And I want to share more of that with y'all. Like we do our kind of end of campaign talks, but I'd like to do like a mid-season and invite like Hamish on the show and have everyone do a little roundtable about the Sprawl. I mean, that might be a little intimidating for Hamish because, five people are going to interrogate you about your game, but I do think it would be really cool having that stuff as part of that content, or having more like kind of designer talks as part of one of the different channels. And I think there's room for that. I think people are like legit interested in that kind of thing. Nice informal like hangout and chat with people. I would love to drag Luke Crane out of his dark cave and bring him out onto the channel and harass him about the Burning Wheel and about Torchbearer. Well, Metal Beer Nerd, yes, welcome. Yeah, so that's the thing. That's the thing I want to do. I think that playing a game is one thing. There's layers, right? Playing a game is one thing. Playing a game and trying to understand that game is another thing. And then being able to talk about that with everybody, having a fan interaction with those things. So I want to do more of that. I want to keep going. We're almost done with the Adventurers League. I don't know what the campaign is going to look like when we're done, but we've only got, 5 adventures left before Tyranny of Dragons is complete. And I don't know if we're going to keep playing 5th edition and extend that campaign, keep playing with those characters, or if we'll take on something like Storm King's Thunder, or what that'll look like. I'll have to sit down with the group and talk about that. But it's been really interesting playing this very constructed style of D&D. Again, like trying things that are kind of fascinating and different to the way I normally play games. Adventurers League has been that way for me. Those shows are about showing off different ways that we can use Roll20 to do cool different things. So I want to keep doing that. I want to find, like, when we decided to play the Sprawl, what really got me into playing that was the fact that the character sheets were so cool and that the integration was so neat.
Have returned.
Hey, Newer. Here comes Feroxis and Lewis too. Welcome back, everybody. So we'll see where that goes.
Returned.
And then obviously with roleplay, Court of Swords, we've talked about a little bit in the Patreon videos. I woke up real early this morning. I gotta tell you. So let me be a nerd for a second. I know. So
A gleaming endowment.
thank you. So I woke up this morning at 7 a.m. because last night, because I'm an idiot and this is how I schedule things. So last night, a bunch of us hung out on Discord and we watched both of the Madoka movies, because I found out that a couple of people hadn't seen Madoka before. If you haven't seen it, it's a great anime. We watched 4 hours of anime last night. It was like 2 a.m. and I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go to bed and wake up at 7 and because this morning we recorded the character creation video for Morgan Webb, who is our next guest for Court of Swords. So we recorded that video. It's uploading now. I'm sure JP will upload it to the Patreon soon. But yeah, I got up early. I did that. And it got me thinking about, we're at the beginning of a new kind of arc. And Court of Swords is becoming a thing that is very different from what I expected. We play a lot of these games. And we focus very much on the characters, right? And I'm a character-driven GM. I make NPCs. That's my jam. But Court of Swords, because the game is so brutal and because we have rotating guests, I've sort of taken a step back for the characters. And I'm thinking about Court of Swords from a world generation perspective. I'm thinking about what the larger picture is, because we don't really get to tell these like long character driven stories. The characters are, it feels like they're fairy tales, right? It feels like, come, sit, let me tell you a story about Persnidjatron Torbasher and his weird friends. We feel like we're serializing the world of Court of Swords in a way that it's not one long arc. It's several sub arcs that make up a canon of stories. It's like a series of comic books, right? It's kind of like they're all set in the same space, right? It's all stories of Gotham City, but like, here's a Batman story, here's a Robin story, here's a Barbara Gordon story, here's a mob story. And we're learning about the world and we're seeing character crossover, right? The Batman might show up in the mob story. We might see, Robin and Barbara Gordon working together. We might see some Batgirl action. But
Welcome to the Math Squad.
what's interesting is that... Hey, Atomic Sorcery. What's interesting is that, yeah, it's like 1001 Arabian Nights. Exactly. We see all of these different pieces, these bits and pieces of the same world. But what might not be visible, because I don't do my prep live, is that everything that happens affects the world at large. And what we'll likely see as the game matures is higher level groups interacting with things that I'm thinking particularly of the first arc, right? The first arc is the sort of dark prelude to the world. It was the Mara are real, the Mara are dangerous, and everybody got murdered. So here's a bad thing that happened at the beginning. So that threat didn't just go away. It's been percolating and building. And yeah, like there's a necromancer lord in the Riverlands, and eventually that's going to come up. People are going to have to deal with that, or be in a situation where that's a big problem, and that stuff will come back. And I have to balance that idea of a world that's more important than the characters at large with the simultaneous idea that we have these guests that I want to highlight. It's been interesting because I have to balance all of this stuff when I'm doing prep. It's hard to prep for a game where you don't know what the guest necessarily wants. Now, Morgan has been awesome about emailing me back and forth about what kind of her plans for her character are. We've got a good arc planned. I've got 3 episodes to carry it out. So in that way, it feels a little like the swansong thing. I'm like, shit, I can't. Sean was a super nice guy. Sean was a really, really nice guy about sticking around and playing like X amount more sessions than we'd originally agreed on. But we need to be better about that. We need to be better about acknowledging that people have only got a limited amount of time to play. So I only have these 3 episodes. So I've got to like work that out. And as a GM, that's very challenging because games are not, Dungeons and Dragons is not designed for that. It's not going to help me. So I have to do all that work. We have to as a group. So I've got this stuff planned and I figured that out. But the thing is, I have to be the one that brings that forward. And what I'm hoping is that I can find guests who are either interested in filling an unfilled niche, or guests who are willing to buy into a particular aspect of the setting. I think we have to strike this balance between the Dungeon World style approach, I guess, and the D&D style approach. I guess the thing is that because I'm so used to running games like Dungeon World, where I'll say, you can just make up your own stuff and you can get in here and you can do your thing and you're going to create as much of the world as I am. That's fine, but it makes it hard for me as a GM to make the world a character. Like, imagine if every 3 or 4 episodes or sessions, somebody else would get to just like tell you some stuff about your character. You'd lose control over that. So I'm finding ways that's happening, and it's a very different style of campaign than I think anybody anticipated. So yeah, it's a weird kind of thing. It's a weird game. And honestly, it's running a little like Apocalypse World in the sense that there are all these unresolved fronts. And if you watch me GM Apocalypse World, ignoring a front just means it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. I'm talking Rock Gnome High Priest. I'm talking Weird Cave of Illusions. I'm talking Necromancer King, right? This shit's some realness. So yeah, it's been weird. It's been weird as fuck. And D&D is not helping me, but it's been fun pushing it in that regard. And I'm wondering, right, who's our thread character? Who's the character is Berg going to be the center of the campaign? Is this going to be Court of Swords, the Tale of Berg? We can't know in advance. We can only know at the end. We're only going to know a lot about this game and the campaign by the time we get to the end of it. And who knows when that'll be, right? So I'm running that. We're running Nebula Jazz. We're a few episodes in. Nebula Jazz is bonkers. We haven't talked about how long we want to play, but I can't imagine that it'll run as long as a Swansong. Like, I think Court of Swords is likely to stick around, another 25 episodes if these things are to be believed historically. But also, like, Nebula Jazz, it's a lot of energy, it's a lot of intensity all at once, and I don't know that we'll be able to keep up that intensity for a full year. So I don't know. We'll see about it. I envision it having as much room to breathe as a Mirror Shades or a Balance of Power, right? Like, I would be happy if we got 20 episodes out of it. That would put us at a fifth of the way through. But who knows? Yeah, you can only space jack so long. And this is why I think comedy as a thing, because Nebula Jazz is a comedy. It's a space comedy, and it's hard. It's hard to maintain. We'll see where we end up with the current story arc when that ends, but I don't have any specific plans. I'm not like, this is only going to get us 12 episodes. I'm kind of going to let it breathe and see where this ends up, take them on a bunch of tangents, but eventually, we're going to need a clear conclusion. And that would be the end of, volume 1 of Nebula Jazz. And then we would have to decide what we're going to do about moving to another season, or if we do a different show or whatever. And this is where things like the scheduling of cast members is a thing, where we end up saying, all right, Nebula Jazz is done, but like Blades is still going strong, Court of Swords is going, where do we get these cast members from? And part of what's good about Court of Swords is, and the monthly one-shots, is trying people out, letting them play D&D with us to see if they're a good fit and see if we're a good fit for them. There are a lot of really good D&D players out there. There are a lot of people who are really interesting and fun to watch. And what's cool for me, somebody posted this. Let's have a discussion about this, because I've talked about this as far as like streaming and RPGs go before. Someone posted on the community site a little while ago. There's a thread. There's always threads, but there's this thread that's like, who would you like to see on RollPlay in the future? And I have my fans, the people that I'm fans of, rather. I wanna play a game with Griffin McElroy. Griffin, man, hit me up. Let's do this thing. You're a funny guy. You'd be great on, I don't know, let's do a weird one shot. I always want to play more with Austin. Austin's busy as hell. Obviously, Matt, Jerry, I want them back. I'm really excited to play with Morgan. There are all these people that I want to play with, but these are all like stream personalities, right? Like basically that thread, most people will just post the people that they think are their favorite streamers. They're like, just play a game with this person, play a game with this person I already like. And that's great. That's totally reasonable, unless it's like Vin Diesel, in which case motherfucker's busy as hell. Also ducats. Hella ducats. So, there are all these people, but somebody posted, and this is a thing that I think is really fascinating. Somebody posted and they were like, we should get more of the Adam Coble and the John Harpers of the world, right? So there's in RollPlay, there's functionally two kinds of participants. There are people like Sam and Dodger and Jesse, right? People who are great, amazing entertainers already, and who we teach to play role-playing games. They already have a lot of the skills. Jesse is a natural for RPGs. We bring those people into that space and we say, all right, you're already good at playing games. Here's another kind of game where you can use some of your entertainer skills. You're a streamer turned role-playing gamer. But someone posted, and this is a thing that I thought was really cool. Someone posted in the thread and they were like, can we get more role players into this space? Which isn't to say that the people we're playing with aren't role players, but like there are some amazing talents. If you've ever watched Bloodletters, you know that Sean Nittner, that Strash, they are long playing gamers who have internalized so much of what makes playing role-playing games fun, right? People like Judd, people like Kira over on Steven's show, people who have like decade plus experience playing tabletop role-playing games with other people and who have developed a whole other set of skills that take a long time to build, right? And
our illustrious champion returns.
For me,
welcome home.
That's how I got into this stuff. Happy anniversary, Dad Hobbit. Welcome back. That's how I got into doing this, right? Is that I spent a really long time playing role-playing games, and then I got into the streaming world by way of that. And that, a lot of the skills that I have in being a successful streamer come from being a GM first, right? I talk about this all the time. People ask me, like, how do you run panels? And I'm like, you just GM them. So there are these skills that pull you into this space. And I would love to see more of that, right? This is why, like, if you've watched the Roll20 stuff, This is why Andrew is so good, right? As a player, Andrew's player charisma, I mean, they are a charismatic person to begin with, but they're very good at role-playing games. Chimera,
Welcome home.
Citro, welcome back. So I don't know, I feel like that's a space we could explore a little more. Something we could get into. Chaotic Corn Dogs, EMAP, welcome back. I think that's a space we could look around in. There's some untapped talent there, and at the risk of sounding immodest, I think John and I are doing a pretty good job. So I think it'd be cool to see more. We could see more people like that come into that space. I know that John and I, Dragonall01, welcome back. John and I know lots of people. We know lots of good people.
Welcome to the Math Squad.
Neckar Stadion, welcome to the squad. Thank you. I want to get, and I'd love to give those people a platform, whether it's a guest shot on Court of Swords, whether it's a one shot, whether it's whatever form that takes. One of my favorite things is bringing people into this world and showing them off to you, right? Being like, check out this amazing person I know. Like, look, this is Distracted Elf. She's amazing. Look, this is Dave. This is Blue Jay. This is my friend Andrew. This is my friend Hillary. This is John Harper. This is Sean and Strash. Like, look at all these amazing people. Love them as much as I do because they're fucking awesome. And I love playing games with them. So keep an eye out for that shit, right? We're going to keep converting people into role-playing game nerds. We're going to keep pulling a convert Blue Jay operation, but we're also going to I think, dig into that space of tabletop role players, and we're gonna make them stream. We're gonna put them in front of you so you can watch them do their thing. There is a vast sea of untapped and amazing talent on all sides. Smaller streamers that deserve a bigger spotlight. Existing streamers that would be great role players. If you have a favorite person, I don't care who it is. Maybe it's someone you saw at a panel on Gen Con. Maybe it's someone you follow on Twitter you think would be great. Like, go to that thread. Go to the community site and talk about this stuff, because I look at that thread. I pay attention to that stuff, and I want you in my space. I want you to play games with me, and I want the people you love to play games with me. So do that. Do that. So a
gleaming endowment.
Thank you. I think this is the thing. I think we're going to see more of that happening. We've already started the kind of teach people to GM thing, right? We've had Dodger, we've had Krendor. I want to give people the chance to do one shots and be the GM, because I know y'all want that, right? Every time someone shows that they're like kind of a good role player, y'all are like, yeah, make them GM. And I'm about that. I think GMing is a cool thing to try. It's not for everybody, but I want to see more of it. And and I think that it's just a matter of time. There's so much talent out there for these kinds of things. So it's just a matter of time. So I guess that's the thing. That's where we're at, right? Like, I'm super, super busy with all these role-playing things. And I don't mean busy in the sense of like, oh, it's so much stuff. Like, I'm busting my ass, right? I'm doing it. I've got my nose to the grindstone, and I'm doing my thing. And I can feel you appreciating it, right? You're here, you're watching, you're subscribing, you're supporting me in doing the things that I love. You're subscribed to the Patreon, you watch the shows, you participate. Participation is like, it's the best. As a GM, it's my favorite thing. People that write fan art, people that ask smart questions about mechanics, people that help me get a better handle on mechanics in D&D, like all of that stuff. It's the best. You're the best, and I really appreciate that stuff.